Being a second-round NFL draft pick obviously doesn't matter very much to Oakland Raiders head coach John Gruden. After raving about undrafted free agent safety Eric Harris recently, among others, we know Gruden doesn't care if a player was a first-round pick or a tryout player. Simply put, Chucky wants the best, hardest-working players on the Raiders roster for 2018. Previously, I spoke about defensive end Mario Edwards Jr. as a potential name and who could miss out on the 53-man roster. The thought was somewhat straightforward behind it, as Edwards has failed to excel to this point in his young career, and with Bruce Irvin being moved to defensive end opposite Khalil Mack, Edwards there's a near certainty to play a reserve role. I believe the most likely outcome for Edwards and the Raiders, should he fail to get the ball rolling, is a possible trade out of town, which Jerry McDonald of the Mercury News seems to agree with. As McDonald stated, he believes Edwards could either be trade bait or even possibly released during training camp. A second-round draft pick in 2015, Edwards played 14 games last after struggling to stay healthy but wasn't overly productive and did not provide the inside pass rush that was desperately needed when playing tackle. So far, Edwards hasn't overwhelmed at either base end or 3 technique. The additions of P.J. Hall and Morris Hurst make it imperative that Edwards stay on the field, produce early on in Napa. Otherwise, Edwards could be trade bait for a lower round pick or simply be released before beginning his fourth. It's a valid point, and if you tack on the additions of Tank Carradine, who's seemingly had a solid start to the offseason, as well as third-round pick Arden Key, and it's easy to see why Edwards could be in trouble. One key thing worth considering is the high likelihood that the Raiders would push to trade Edwards before releasing him. You'd have to imagine that a former second-round pick who's only 24 years old would at least be worth a late-rounder to an NFL team. His contract isn't bad either, but if he's released by the Raiders, it would cost them $659,030 in dead cap, according to Over the Cap. On the positive side, it would free up more than $1.25 million in cap space as well. The Oakland Raiders are rolling through off-season practices and are gearing up for John Gruden's first back on the sidelines. Want the latest news sent straight to your inbox? Sign up for our free Raiders newsletter now. Training camp is going to be a crucial stretch for Edwards, but at this point, I'm almost expecting to not see him on the 53-man roster when Gruden and company make final cuts.